started,
There we go.
what we should do is talk a little bit about all the different options that are out there and then dive into the details of this new hot product. I will say that this new program was released on June 24th. It is not expected to last very long. The county released this last year as a pilot program, and it only lasted a few months.
Yeah.
They have a little over 8 million available in funds, and that as soon as the announcement came out, the flurry of inquiries came in because at this time in this market, anyone that's been shopping is very much interested in taking advantage of any incentives, and anyone that was kind of on the fence is like, okay, maybe now's the right time, right? Because everyone's kind of
Right.
waiting to see what's going to happen. So, if you are interested in becoming a homeowner, or even if you're a repeat buyer, this program may be available for you. So you definitely want to make sure you get pre-approved right away. So let's talk about the loan options. So on a high level, and Julia, let's keep it
Mhm.
open dialogue. On a high level, we have two basic loan types that are typically available for purchasing residential property, and that's going to be your conventional or government loans, which is typically FHA unless you're a veteran and you have the VA loan. So this program, this Cook County program, is available to be combined with either the conventional or the FHA products. And VA, but for VA financing, you could typically finance at 100%. So
Right.
it doesn't give as much as an incentive to our veterans, though it could help with closing costs. So the beauty of this product is that it's a little bit more expanded than some of the other down payment assistance programs. So again, you don't have to be a first time buyer. You could be a homeowner today looking to buy your next primary residence, and that may be an option for you if the property is in Cook County. So that's big. That's not
That
typical.
is that is a big thing, yes. Because
Yeah.
usually they want you to be the first time home buyer. So yeah,
Yep. Yep. So that's a big change. And then also for this product, I noticed that they have expanded their credit guidelines. So usually, the next most popular product that we deal with is the state of Illinois, the IHDA,
Mhm.
Illinois Housing and Development Authority, and they have a 640 requirement. But for this Cook County program, you can have a 620 FICO score. So they've actually expanded their credit guidelines there as well. So that's helped increase more buyers that are eligible for assistance. Um, the other thing that they did is that they are allowing, last year they didn't have this, but they are allowing 2 unit purchases. So now you can house hack
House
with this
hack. And
product.
I'm all if they just met me because they saw a Facebook ad and they just showed up, so they don't know a lot about me.
Okay.
But I'm all about learning to create wealth and build that income through real estate. That's kind of my jam. So now you can buy 2 units with this. Like that's what's up.
Yes, I love house hacking, and this product just makes it so much easier. And then the other thing that they did with this product is they did expand the income. So anytime you apply for some sort of assistance, there's going to be some sort of income limit, unless it's in a targeted area. So the income limit for this product is about 143,000 and some change.
Which is very
And
high considering other ones.
it is. It's
Yeah.
higher than the typical ones, and it's only for the applicants. So if there's a couple and combined their household income is greater, that's okay as long as the one person that's on the loan is is earning less than that 143,000. So those are the expanded guidelines with this product specifically. And so that helps open up the number of eligible buyers, which is why, again, we don't expect this to last very long.
Last that long. So this is one of those things, you know how they say opportunities come but they don't last forever. Like this is one of those products where or time where you need to strike while the iron is hot. Like this doesn't happen every day. And if you wanted a house and you feel like God was calling you to get a house, this probably is one of those ways you can get it. We just heard you could use FHA or conventional. So with those two options, we got 3% down for some conventionals, up to 5% though, and then 3.5 with FHA. You only have to have a 620 credit score and you can have an income cap of $143,000. for the applicant. So you and your husband, you and your boo, y'all could be living together, but they only going to be looking at one of your incomes who's going to go on the application. So that right there. Anything else we need to know? Any questions so far? You can come off mute or you can put it in the chat and I'll read it.
As we're waiting for some questions, I think that those are the big highlights that I wanted to share. And of course, you can go into a little more detail or any specific scenarios as well.
So
Because as
let me
mentioned,
give you guys an example. Can we do, I love examples, Michelle. Uh,
yes,
I'm the example queen because I'm a visual learner. So I always want to make sure me and my people on the same page. So when it says up to $25,000, how does that look? I'm getting a house. Let's just say the average house right now is about, I would say 250, $300,000.
yep,
I'm gonna say 300, okay? So I have this house and they're shopping with me, right? And they're like, oh, we just found this house and it's $300,000, right? How does that, and my down payment, because I'm a conventional buyer, is 5%. So now I have $15,000 for my down payment.
let's backtrack.
Okay,
Let's do 3%.
okay. You do
Let's do,
3%? Okay.
yeah.
All
Let's
right.
say it's a first time buyer. You normally would need 3%, single family
Okay,
home.
so 10.0. All right, so we add $9,000 for our down payment for a $300,000 home, okay? All right, what happens next?
Now we have closing costs.
We have
So
closing costs.
let's assume we're in Chicago.
Hmm.
Cook County obviously covers other areas as well, but let's assume Chicago. Chicago has transfer stamps. So closing costs on a $300,000 purchase, I would say 11,000.
Okay, so we all in 9,000 and 11,000, so 20,000, right? Is that 20? Can I count?
Yeah, that's right. Good. Yeah, that actually works out nice. So 20,000. So you get up to 5% of the purchase price. So that means you get $15,000 assistance.
Because you get up to 5%. Oh, okay. And your down payment was 3. So you're going to get up to 5%. So that's going to
Yeah,
help with some of your closing costs. So now we come into the table with $5,000.
5,000. Unless the seller's giving you 5 grand, then you don't have to bring anything.
Then you won't have to do anything. But y'all not gonna make my job hard out here in these streets.
So
But the
that is
market is it's kind of a buyer's market in some areas. So sometimes I can negotiate closing cost credits with sellers. And in those situations, then I can say, hey, give us a credit back for 5,000 and you're going to the table. You come to the table. I think you still got to come with at least $1,000, right? Or no?
no, so they don't have a minimum. That's
They
another
don't
difference.
have a minimum.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so who ready
So
to start shopping? Who ready to get? Because
so,
usually you got to come to the table
yeah,
with at least $1,000. Uh,
yeah. Like
yes.
the state program, the IDA program is the minimum 1%. So you have to contribute at least 3 grand. You could bring nothing to the table, but there are additional expenses with this. So our scenario on a high level in theory, that's what it would look like. Um, the these programs, anytime you're getting assistance, understand that there are more fees involved. So really out of the five, I would say you're gonna get it's like 3.65%. So you'll get your 3%. So I do
Okay.
want to add that on. So you will get your full 3% in the scenario. But the fees are higher. So your standard fees will normally be 11K. For this, they're going to be more because
Mm.
of the grant program. So in essence, this scenario that we kind of built together with a seller credit, you could bring $0, but we need the seller credit to make that happen. And we have to be mindful that your closing costs are greater because the
'Cause-
costs for these programs are always higher.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
But
so we got a
that's the
few.
technical stuff that you don't see written out anywhere.
Yes.
You know?
So we got a few questions. One is, can the scenario be done for those who have purchased before as well? Yes. That's one of the great things about this program is that you can already own a house that you live in now. Now, you can't have two FHA loans out at the same time. So if you're living in a home right now and it's FHA loan, then you have to get a conventional loan. So just keep that in mind. Next, what is the household size for income level of 143K?
There is no household size requirement for this, and there is no, as long as the applicant is within 143, you qualify.
Okay. So they don't care about that.
You don't have to have certain number of people in the household. There's no extra additional restrictions with that.
Okay. And then can you combine this grant with other first-time home buyer credits?
That's a good question. So the county has to approve any other grants, and the only other grants that would typically work would be if the property itself is coming with a grant.
Okay.
Then if it's coming with a grant, then they have to approve it, but then they would entertain it. So it can be stacked. It's going to be very few and far between that'll have that option because the property itself has to come with a grant, which is not.
Yeah, and you really don't, I'm not going to say you don't need one, but like with that much money, it will be and maybe me shopping depending on the house because when I shop with people and talk about the closing cost credit, I have to make people understand if we're in a bidding situation where there are multiple offers, the offers that don't ask for those credits are often the ones that are picked first. So I always want to say that, and it's scenario by scenario, but in a situation like that where that's not happening, you really don't need another program because pretty much everything's going to be covered. But I don't want to get in trouble with that. I don't want to oversell that. Okay. Any more questions?
Now, I didn't give you guys the terms of this, so I'm going to share that.
Okay.
Well, so let's go back. So we know we can get up to $25,000. It's limited to the purchase price, so it's 5% of the purchase price. So that means that up to $500,000 purchase, we can get the full 25, right?
Mhm.
And then this is a forgivable grant. So the money will be on title as a silent second lien because you don't pay anything on it. You don't accrue any interest on it, but it is forgiven over that 60 months. It's 5 years. So
Right.
whatever hasn't been prorated whenever you sell or refinance does have to be repaid. But if you own the home for that 5 year period, then it's completely forgiven and you don't pay anything back. This is also extraordinary because a lot of these other programs have a longer forgivable period. So this is just 5 years
Like
and it's
10
completely
years
forgiven.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to make sure you keep that in mind because I did had a client before who got one of those down payment assistance, and then she looked up and she wanted to sell in 2 years, and it's like you're gonna have to write a check or something because it's just not enough money to pay off your fees for hiring an agent and then the back pay for to give them back that money that you took. So make sure you know, hey, I know I want to live in this house for at least the next 6 years, or be ready to write that check when you get ready to sell. When you call me back and say I'm ready to sell my house, I'm gonna be like, hey, this is what you use that grant, and we got to calculate that. So keep that in mind too. That's a good call out. Any more questions? How many of you here? I have 13 of you here, 12. How many of you here are ready to move forward with seeing if we can get you pre-approved for this program, this loan? Drop yes or no in the chat. We got one, two. Okay. And the reason I'm asking because we want to get you a pre-approved quick. Michelle is really good if you get all your documents and stuff together and then getting that pre-approval and checking assets. Because as we said, this is not going to be around a long time. And this is just not for me and Michelle, but not all lenders are processing this loan either because you have to get approved to become a lender to process this loan, right? Can you explain more what you mean by the house has to come with the grant?
Yeah,
Um,
so this, oh,
oh yeah, that was what you said. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So sometimes when when a local like town decides to incentivize developers or rehabbers, they may give grants to them that'll pass on to the buyers to update or remodel a property. And that's to help increase home ownership in certain areas. So when that happens, that's when you will find that a property is listed for sale and it's already coming with a grant. Not again, not too many properties
Yeah,
do
that's
offer
very rare.
this, but
Hmm.
if they did, that's when you could stack that grant with the Cook County program.
Good example. Good example. Okay. So the next steps after this is if you're here on Zoom, I have your information and we'll follow up with you. Or Michelle, do you want to share your link? Do you have your link to start
Yeah,
the online application?
yeah, I'll drop it in there.
You'll start the application and then I'll follow up with you within the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm also going to put my name, and because I don't think I added that in the email, but I'm going to put my name, email address in the chat. Make sure you take that. I'll follow up with you. And I heard that sometimes you could have a two FHA. I don't think there's a point. Is it, Michelle? Is there a time when you can have two FHA loans?
There are only a couple reasons why you could. Um, so So the FHA on a high level, the FHA product is specifically for owner occupancy. And so if you outgrow a space and you have to prove this, right? Like your family size has grown and number of dependents, you have 30% equity, then you'd be able to buy another property in, the same area. So that would be one reason. If you relocated over 100 miles, so if you're coming from out of state and you're coming back to Illinois, Cook County, then that would be the second reason. Or if you co-signed for someone on an FHA and now you're going to purchase your own, that would be a reason. But there are very few circumstances where you would have two FHA loans. So typically, if you already have one and there's been no major changes with the family unit and you don't have that 30% equity in your property, then you would not be able to have another FHA loan.
And I have to correct something because at the beginning of this, I said that Michelle was with Cross Country Mortgage, and you are not with Cross
I'm
Country
not,
anymore.
not
She is
anymore.
with Neighborhood Loans now, right?
Neighborhood loans, yes,
Neighborhood
yes.
Loans. We've been together for a long time, so I've seen her go to a few companies. So again, I want to make sure you guys understand the buy-in process too, because sometimes I have new homeowners on there. The very first thing we have to do is get you pre-approved for a loan, and that is going to be with Michelle. She put the link in the chat. Once she says, "Hey, Julia, here we go. This person is ready to go," she'll tell me how much you have been pre-approved for based on the information you submitted to her. Then she's going to tell me how much you feel comfortable with your mortgage payment, because just because somebody give us $500,000 doesn't mean we probably want to have a home for $500,000. So she's going to tell me that. And your mortgage and all those things depend on the taxes. So you have your principal, you have your interest, you have your taxes and insurance. So we have to think about all those things when we are saying the kind of house you're going to go out and get. So once Michelle gives me your information for your pre-approval, then I sit down with you for what we call a buyer's consultation. I want to get to know you. I want to make sure that I understand your goals, not just your goals for today, but your goals for the next 5 to 10 years. What are you trying to do? What is behind purchasing real estate? Because a lot of us have different goals. What we want to do. So we're going to sit down. I'm going to listen to what you're saying. saying, I'm going to develop your buyer's journey, and everybody buyer journey looks different depending on where they want to be. I'm going to go over areas because sometimes we're in Cook County, right? Different areas have different taxes. So if you tell me, Julia, I just got approved for $300,000 and I want to keep my mortgage under 25, I'm going to have to tell you, we're going to have to look in areas where the taxes aren't high because some suburban areas, the taxes go from anywhere to 8, 9, 12, 15,000 a month. So we have to look at the scope of that. So we sit down with a very detailed buyer's consultation, and then we go from there. Once I understand your goals, once you're pre-approved, I understand your goals, then we get out and we go shopping. Okay. You're going to be looking through things. You're going to be like, oh my God, I love this house. I'm going to tell you to make a vision. I'm going to tell you to see yourself in this house, how it's going to feel when you're serving breakfast to your family, how it's going to feel on Christmas Day. I want you to really get in the space that makes you feel good about your home because a lot of that is energy. So we're going to have to get that good energy out there so that when we shopping, we getting the stuff that we want for you. So we're going to go through that and you're going to go shopping. Once you go shopping and we find a house, you're going to say, oh my God, Julie, this is the house. I seen it in my dreams. I know this is it. And we're going to write an offer. And that offer is going to have to be competitive based on what that house, how long that house been sitting there, how much interest it has. So we're going to write a competitive offer. And I'm going to tell you, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to win because I like to win. And then once we win that lovely new home, we're going to do an inspection. And that inspection is going to tell us the shape of that home. And we're going to pray like God that it does not have, it's not a pig with lipstick. And I am very hard when it comes to the inspection space because I know that my clients have either saved their money or been dreaming about their house. So we're going to be on the lookout to make sure we're only getting the best. All right. So once we go through that inspection period, we're going to go in negotiation again, and we're going to tell those people what we want to be fixed and what can be fixed. We're going to hope to God that this house we can negotiate again and make sure you get the repairs done if there are needed. Or we're going to get a clean bill of health for your house and we're going to move on to what we call underwriting. And underwriting, we're going to go back to Michelle and her team and we're going to submit more documents and we're going to get an appraisal. And appraisal going to tell us what the home is value. And we're going to make sure it either meets or exceeds the value that we have put an offer in on. And if it doesn't, guess what we're going to do again? We're going to go back to negotiation and we're going to make sure, hey, this house came in here. If it comes in under, that's where we got to do some more negotiation. If it come in at of above, great. We already going in with equity, right? And then after that, it's going to be time for a final walkthrough and you're going to get the keys to your new home and you're going to say, oh my God, Julie and Michelle, you were so great. And then you're going to send me all your friends and family. Okay. Any questions so far? It doesn't look like we have a lot of questions. The link to Michelle's loan application is in the chat, and then my contact information, my phone and my email address is in the chat. Within the next 24 to 48 hours, I will be calling you, and I'll probably be calling you from that 618 number. So keep me locked in because sometimes people think it's spam, but it's not. It's me. All right. So, what if your credit score is not at a 620? Would that hurt your chances?
That's a great question. So this is why it's always best to just get the process started right away. We, as a lender, we're not credit repair specialists, but we have access to credit simulators. So these tools will tell us with a 90% possibility rate what the potential is and what's necessary to boost the score to get to that 620. So even if you have any credit concerns, if you're interested, start the process. Let's see exactly where your scores are. And then I can help you identify what would be the plan to help boost the score if it's not quite there. And this is done at no cost to you.
Yeah, Michelle's really good because she's had it sometimes where I'll send her a client and she'd be like, I can get them approved. They just need to bring me this amount so I can pay off this debt when we get to table and then this happen. Like she's really good with that. But again, we can't do hypothetical. We need documents so that we understand black and white. Like this is what you need to do. Another one, once more, can you review what you suggest applicants have to qualify before applying? At least a 620, right? That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing, right, Michelle? I feel like
Yeah,
that. And a job. You got to have a job and some tax returns.
yeah. So 620, 2-year work history doesn't have to be with the same employer. The exception to that is if you were previously a student. And income within the 143,000 and that it's in Cook County. Now, the exception to the income limit is that if the property is in a targeted area, then there is no income limit. So depending on where you're shopping, that income limit may not apply.
And when we say limit, like anything below that, you good. Like
Right.
below that. And depending on the area. So did that clear that up for you? Yes, you're welcome. All right. So if you guys have no more questions for Michelle, next steps is application to start the process. And then Michelle and I will be following up with you. If we don't hear from you within the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to contact you to see where you are and just get an idea. Um, do you feel like you learned anything on this live? Do you feel like you understand how to use and get to 25K, up to 25K from Cook County? Yes, yes. I'm all about educating. So if that is the case, then I've done my job. All right. Yes, yes. I got all yeses. Well, I look forward to talking with you guys. Yes, there is going to be a recording. And hopefully shopping with you to get you your dream home. All right. So if nothing else, have a great night and share this program with anyone that you think could benefit from it. All right, guys. Okay. Um, you can email me if you have a question offline. Okay. Cool. All right, then have a good night.
Thank you.